The Santa rally is on. Bitcoin is hitting a new all-time high. The NASDAQ is at an all-time high. It's a crazy time to be in the markets. We'll be discussing all of that and more today on Money Never Sleeps. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. As we get going, you know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember, nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice. So please do your own research. If we're making any buys or sells, Kev, happy Monday. We are entering the final 2 weeks of the year, and the markets are on an absolute pisser right now.
Yeah, I mean, markets, you cannot deny the fact that they're pushing up. We'll talk about the Dow, which is not doing the same, but again, it's not also getting crushed, right? It's the end of the year. We're seeing positions that were short starting to close, which means you're buying back the stock. Prices are going up. I have a funny feeling that's what's happening for some stocks like Apple and Tesla that we're maybe expecting Trump to lose or something like that. Now we're seeing them push up a little bit higher. End of the year, we're seeing liquidity drain. We'll look at the reverse repo and the bank term funding program today. But this is the Santa rally that everyone wanted. The question is, do we get the meme stock rally that gets everyone sucked in before the end of the year, or maybe it's the start of next year? That's what I'm still waiting to see, and that's kind of the thing I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, it's going nuts. We have Bitcoin went over 107. It's back down into the mid 106s. ETH is on a nice little run back over 4K. We are definitely seeing some lagging in Solana and some of the other altcoins. Meanwhile, if you're looking at TradFi, NASDAQ up 1.5% today, led by tech. Apple doing an okay, but Amazon, Coinbase, Google, Meta, all of those, Tesla continuing to hit new all-time highs, up over 450 now. So really, really strange times and exciting if you are risk on at the moment. Also, I think some news that is helping with the crypto charge is FTX, debtors getting their money back very beginning of January in USDC. A lot of people anticipating that money is going to flow back into the crypto market. Maybe it's Bitcoin, maybe it's Fartcoin, who knows? We should talk about Fartcoin at some time because that has that one is like, I may never recover financially from not getting it, because I had someone tell me about Fartcoin when the market cap was $4 million and I didn't buy it. And now the market cap is it over $1 billion finally? There's approaching
$1 billion last night.
So, there's that. If I would have put in a couple soul into that one, it'd be a very Merry Christmas in my household.
How do these people find this shit, bro?
I don't know, man.
It's so wild.
I don't know. It's a buddy of mine who has been right about so many meme coins, and I haven't tailed them because I just don't get involved in the meme coin stuff. And
damn it.
I'm down. Hypothetically, I should be worth millions more, but I'm not because I just don't do it because I'm just soft like that, I guess. I don't know. It's frustrating. Anyway, enough about Fartcoin. That's enough Fartcoin talk for the day.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Because we have, we're in this spot where we're a few weeks away from the inauguration. So, a lot of people think that might be a local top for crypto. Maybe it is. But we do get some data this week that I think is going to be important. We have obviously the FOMC on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty big deal. Powell talking again, last rate decision of the year, setting the tone for 2025. We get some retail sales data, and then we will get on Friday the PCE numbers, so our final inflation reading of the year. GDP final numbers for Q3. So it's a pretty important week in the markets, and they're off to a strong start. And I think, a dovish Powell and some solid data could just add fuel to the fire that is driving the markets higher.
Absolutely. If you're expecting,
that was beautiful.
What was beautiful?
my rhyme right there. It was totally inadvertent, but it worked out
Oh yeah.
great.
No, I heard it. I thought you said something else. But yeah, this is a really weird time right now. Don't look at the data. It's kind of looking where the flows are in the market. That's kind of the assessment you have to have. Obviously, the non-farm payroll jobs that we got earlier in the month, combined with the unemployment rate and a lot of those other, you know, the continuing claims, a lot of things are not making a lot of sense, and you can't go off of that right now. I have a funny feeling once we start to see shit kind of hit the fan, that's when you start seeing the revisions and data starts getting revised. And it's like, that makes a lot of sense. So for markets, that probably means higher, right? A lot of people are still feeling euphoric. Um, you're looking at other things in the world too that are very complicated and should be probably hurting the market more than they are, but they're not. And the reason is obviously liquidity. But we're looking at, the German government now is going to have snap elections in February. France obviously had problems, a few weeks ago. Canada has lost one person. They're probably going to lose Trudeau if he does resign. There's a lot of things that are going on. And also this year, actually, we had the most resignations for CEOs, I believe, since 2007 or 2008, which is probably saying something. I think it was like over 1,100 or something like that. So there's a lot of things that are happening on that front, but that's not necessarily what can correlate with the market in the short term. I think the market is going to be juiced a little bit higher going into Trump becoming president. And I'm going to pull up the charts right now for the Dow, and then we'll take a look at the BTFP and the reverse repo, because reverse repo got a massive drain today, barely over 100 billion left in that now. So that's a very interesting thing that's happened. And then the BTFP we'll look at too. But for the Dow, obviously I have this fractal of 2020 on here. There's some people that are comparing this move down, if it continues, similar to 1929. They think that it's probably going to float sideways, consolidate from here till maybe after the 1st of January. We're looking at probably, say the 15th, the 17th, right around that OPEX date. I'm looking at this right now. This is just a fractal from 2020. This is the black swan fractal. It doesn't have to happen this way, but it is interesting how this is playing out, right? There's a lot of things that are doing the very similar things. But when we look at how many days we've had in a row of red in the Dow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight days of red. And again, is it a major retracement for the Dow, considering how high it's been since started 2023, 2024? Not necessarily. It's down 1,250 points. So yeah, kind of big, but at the same time, we're looking also at this, right? We're looking at how much it's grown since November of 2023 to the upside. It's nothing. It really is nothing. It's looking at it though, compared to what we're seeing in the S&P and in the NASDAQ, big divergence, right? We're seeing those indexes go up, but we're seeing the Dow, which is probably a more accurate representation of the true economy, those stocks that are probably feeling the pressures of consumers more than some of these tech giants, kind of seeing that pullback. I mean, I would say the same thing about IWM or the Russell, very similar to the Dow pulling back here. I mean, if I look at this, is probably what, 2% or so. No, even more, about 5%. So you're seeing a lot of these non-growth stocks. You're seeing a lot more of these stocks that are, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, all those kind of pull back the targets, and they're all in these indexes, and we're seeing that pullback. So that's telling us kind of what we were expecting, the strength of the consumer again. But when it comes to, say, Tesla and the Mag 7, it's a very different game. These are all highly leveraged stocks that are everyone's looking at, that drive the majority of the markets. I was looking at a interesting chart last night, and it said that if Nvidia was removed from the S&P throughout 2024, we are looking at the S&P performing lower than the Euro stocks, which is absolutely wild. So it shows you how much concentration there is still in this market. Obviously, Nvidia is pulling back today amid, the fact that SMCI got pulled from the NASDAQ. Thank goodness for that too, because they still haven't filed anything. They're continuing to do that. You're not going to get a filing from SMCI most likely. So they were smart to pull them out. But the only bad thing is, who did they replace them with? MicroStrategy. Now Bitcoin's at an all-time high, and it's probably going to keep going into next year. Michael Saylor's blown up once. Is it possible to blow up a second time? At least a trade for his company? I don't know. but we're going to see. It just seems too good to be true at this point. But that's kind of what we're looking at for the indexes, right? We're seeing that them continue to push up. We know that these top stocks, I mean, look at Meta. Meta's at 629, Google's at 200, Coinbase is at 318, Amazon 230, Apple 250. Everything's juiced right now. When we pull up, I'm going to pull up the box score, go into the reverse repo. It is at right now, has not updated. It's at $100 billion right now. Let me see if I can find that on the chart. See, take a look at it. It's like 101, I believe. It's down 25. It's somewhere around here. There we go. I just put it right here. I think it's at 106. I can't remember the exact number, and it's not updating yet. But we could see that we're getting closer and closer to zero. And it kind of seems the closer we get to this January 20th date for Trump taking office, continuing to drain. It's almost not, I'm not saying strategic, but it's almost like it's slowly draining these facilities when they need it. Markets are continuing to push up. When these facilities do go to zero, we tend to see markets pull back. I mean, this is the Bank Term Funding Program here. It's down 1.54 billion. Obviously, there's $15.6 billion left. Last time we saw the emergency repo, which was in January or February of 2020, we had a major market, correction. Obviously, black swan, right? But you do see that liquidity is becoming a problem. That's why we're also seeing the currencies act absolutely just stupid between the dollar and the yen, between being strong and not being strong, back and forth, allowing stocks to continue to push up. And the interesting thing amongst all of this is that the VIX today, for some reason, and for the first time in what feels like eternity, is green. It's up on the day, 3.84%. And where did it bounce off of? The key level of the trend line. Now, does it bounce up higher and close this gap at some point? I don't necessarily know. That'd be kind of bad for stocks. But there is the possibility that we start to see those pullbacks in the major tech stocks. Maybe there's no one else to close their positions, no one else to buy them. And that's where we kind of are led into January, where we get maybe the meme stock rally. So I know I've been talking for a period of time now. I just wanted to kind of roll through TradFi. The interesting thing right now for me is obviously GameStop, AMC, kind of some of the EVs. This is the sector that hasn't necessarily rallied yet. Everything else is pretty much rallied. We got our altcoin rally, we got our Bitcoin rally, we got, our tech stocks. I mean, maybe we didn't get anything in the Dow stocks for the most part, maybe a little bit right after Trump won. The question is what happens, from here to maybe the 20th or the 17th. I'll say the 17th because that is the last OPEX before Trump does take office. So I want to pull up the Roaring Kitty meme. If there's anything you want to add right now, feel free to. I'm just going to pull up this chart or this image of him because this is the last thing that he tweeted, obviously, right? Let's see if I can get it. There we go. Share my screen. Again, the fact I'm talking about Roaring Kitty and his cryptic messages definitely tells me that we're getting close to the top, or maybe I'm just in absolute denial. It's hard to see, but right here at the bottom, we can see full volume right at the beginning. It says 109 to 420. Obviously, people are saying the 109 represents 69 and 420 is obviously 420 weed, right? I was looking at this over the weekend, and I'm looking at OPEX, and I'm looking at the chart for GameStop. And I'm just trying to put together, what's this dude trying to say? He's obviously saying something cryptic so we don't get in, he doesn't get in trouble. Other people have said that, you can read the sides here, what they're saying. For me, I wouldn't be surprised if what he's saying is that by January 9th, GameStop is on its way to 420 in price, right? That's, to me, seems like the most logical. It's also the most funny for him. I don't necessarily know if he's talking about some of the swaps and stuff like that happened back in January. Like this guy. Let me see if I can share it. Saying all these things that from January 1st to 2021 are Archegos. That's a little bit over the top, I think, for most of the people that follow him. I do think it's the one by January 9th, it's on its way to 420. So let's share that screen real quick and can kind of see what we expect from GameStop. And if it is to break out, when does it break out? Because I think we did touch on this on the last show, but there's a good chance that, maybe we're not too far from this breaking out. Again, I said this is a cup and handle pattern. Here's the cup. Now we're in the handle. When this breaks, it looks like the week of Christmas, right? That's next week. So what can we expect from that? can we expect GameStop to start shooting up like crazy? People are closing out some of the shorts. And the thing is, GameStop has, I believe, right now some of the lowest amount of circulating shares. So that if anyone were to squeeze that price and there's just high demand with low circulating shares out there, it's really easy to get a squeeze that pushes up that fast, that high. And do you start to see some of the money flow out of some of these other stocks like Apple, Amazon, maybe even Nvidia, some more, and you start seeing something very similar that we got in May of 2024. The last time it rallied, GameStop went from about 548%. It's a pretty good move to the upside. Say we get 548% here. Let's do that. Obviously we're talking north of $100 a share. But again, if retail for some reason has Christmas money and they're just dumping it into this, and a lot of people are really excited by this going straight up, there's a good chance that we could see a lot of these memes just rally like crazy. I know last time it was like American Airlines, AMC, a bunch of these other ones. I don't necessarily know if those will, but I've been talking about FFIE, one that we're looking at, because this thing shot up 10,000% the last time this went up. It's very possible. We look at what the market cap of this is compared to Farcoin. The market cap of this is $53.95 million, right? For just a stock like that. If enough money comes in and you start seeing that and people are going to start, just jumping in on the trade, get everyone excited for that OPEX. And then next thing you know, I don't know, maybe the repos run out, the bank term funding program runs out, a lot less liquidity in the system, and retail has bought the top once again. So just kind of a, high concepts, looking at what we're seeing with retail getting excited in the market. What would get them ultra excited? Roaring Kitty obviously coming back at the right time. There's a little bit of liquidity out there. I think there's enough to push this market up a lot higher for the memes. We'll see if that's the case, but we don't have to wait much longer. It should be a week or so if we see if it breaks out or not. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, well then hold on to your butts.
Okay, hold on to your butts. Let's look at crypto. Kind of go over Bitcoin. I say, Bitcoin, ETH. We can take a little peek at Solana. Got to mention XRP because that one is primed for another leg up, it looks like.
Well, we got the news today. They have their own stable coin coming out tomorrow. So obviously
isn't there gonna be an ETF like sooner than later? I mean, they have all the makings of this thing absolutely shooting up.
Trump winning was the best thing for XRP in hindsight, obviously. But I do think that there will be stablecoin regulation. It's like one of the biggest things that is probably coming under this administration. Maybe that's the one that takes over, right? Obviously, they do a lot of interbank payments. Wouldn't be surprised if XRP is going to be one of the big ones. Looking at this here, though, Bitcoin shooting up higher. This is the wrong chart. I wanted to look at the one that we looked at last week because that's dominance. Yeah, I mean, but this was the line that we put up. We said by the weekend we'll probably get here. Obviously, we broke through it. We're currently trading right at the top of that line, that 106 level resistance. Maybe a little bit higher. Is it time to push it a little bit higher and say that Bitcoin could go to like 109, 110? I'm open to saying yes. So we'll put another line up there just to see if it hits it. Let's put 109 just because. Yeah, well, if it goes past that, then it goes to 110, obviously. But again, I think this thing is going to be pushing up into next year. The reason is MicroStrategy joining the NASDAQ is going to be huge. I mean, if we look at MicroStrategy real quick, just to go back and forth, 414. So, I mean, it didn't do as much as we thought. It was up at 440 this morning, early trading hours. But now, obviously, it's a lot lower unless Michael Saylor used those to buy shares sold the shares to buy Bitcoin. Maybe, very possible. Again, that's just I'm not saying anything. I don't want to get sued. But looking at this here with Bitcoin, we can see that, yeah, I mean, it just keeps pushing up. There's nothing you can do about the price pushing up like crazy. The thing you can point out is that the volume is decreasing as the price is pushing up, right? It tells me it's either very few buyers or, maybe it's just a lot of prints that we're continuing to see. But this price has been pushing up as the volumes have been decreasing like crazy. The only day that we got a volume spike was the day that we sold off down to about 90K. That concerns me because it shows me that when volume does come in, it seems to be that volume is coming from pushing it to the downside. A lot of heavy selling. Once we get to these higher levels too, we have so much liquidity that is below us that is just built positions that are longing this thing using leverage. There's a very good chance that we continue to see this push up a little bit to build that liquidity lower, and then just take it all down in one quick move to the downside. $25,000-$30,000 move for Bitcoin in a single day. You don't like to say it, but it's very possible. It's very possible. The thing is right now that really sucks too is that there's a lot of financial institutions that kind of are in this game. So obviously, if they eat shit, Bitcoin is very possible. It's very possible they eat shit too. Just something that we kind of have to keep in mind. Doesn't have to happen that way.
Let's not go around eating shit, okay?
I prefer, yeah. I heard it tastes terrible. Looking at this here, this is the ETH chart. We got our quadruple top. We talked about this. We said that this is the level where ETH is going to continue to hit its head. Could it break up a little bit above this? Yes, absolutely. That would be in line with Wyckoff distribution. This would be the up thrust after distribution if we start pushing up higher. Where does that leave us? Well, we're looking probably somewhere very similar to what Bitcoin's done. Just keeps pushing, but you are running out of time. That's the only thing I will say. I think that there is time. We're on a time crunch for a lot of these alts, and we have to look for strength. Bitcoin's, for some reason, is the one that everyone is just, balls deep in. And maybe that's because Tether is just printing a ton and institutions are just buying it. And that's what people want to have in their portfolio, given the fact that it's over $100,000 now. But when we look at this here, we have two levels we want to watch. We want to watch the 47, almost 4,800 level, and then obviously all-time highs, that 4868 or something like that. Does it have to go that high? No, it could just go, to 43, 4,400, and that's the up thrust, and then it pulls back. Again, if anything, Ethereum has performed extremely weak relative to some of the alts and Bitcoin given in 2024. So that tells me that maybe there isn't just enough interest right now for people to be buying this. It doesn't mean that the price can't still push up, another $400 or so, and we get that up thrust. So as of right now, when I'm looking at this, I think this is 100% distribution. Whether we break all-time highs really depends on, what the market's doing. But again, looking at this, volumes are pretty low right now, and you've hit your head 4 times. I think if we do push up, it's a fake out, and then it's, whatever happens in 2025 comes and goes. Solana, we can take a look at, and then we'll look at XRP. Solana maybe topped. It's very possible that it did, right? You're probably going to find some support right here on 212. You lose the 212 level, you're coming obviously a lot lower, probably between 193 and let's say 182. But, the key level that Solana does not want to lose is the 122 level. If it loses that, it's coming way lower. Obviously, we're talking months ahead, unless something bad were to happen real quick in that market. But it's not performing as strong as the others. Now, the bullish thing I will say is just looking at this chart is that we are looking at what could be parallel channel. Yes, but it's very weak. I will say that. It doesn't necessarily tell me that we're going to push up. We're going to break out of this and it's going to push up an insane amount. If anything, this is kind of pushing at the level of whether this will hold, right? We got a few touches here. Seems like it's more of a quicker downward slope as some of the other ones. Obviously, Bitcoin traded in a parallel channel before it broke up, but that was more of a consistent parallel channel. This one seems kind of just choppy here. So this might be a wedge, or maybe we just need a little bit more time to see exactly what this is playing out. But it would be a stretch to say that it is going to be in a parallel channel. XRP obviously is one that looks like it's primed. Now this one has a lot of volume. You can see that volume right there at the bottom. We want to look at the Bollinger Bands for this one to see if it's going to break out. Now, part of me says that it's a good look right here, that the Bollinger Bands, if you're bullish, that the Bollinger Bands are kind of closing in on each other. We're oversold on the daily. There's a good chance that those start to close and then you get an explosive push to the upside. Maybe that comes tomorrow with the stable coin out there and a lot more people using the network. My concern is the Bollinger Bands are closing. What if there is some type of correction in the market once Bitcoin gets to 107 or 109, 110? Maybe it pulls down this with it, and this is more foretelling that we're going to get to a place where there's going to be an explosive move to the downside. And again, I only say that because XRP has had a great run up. There's no denying how much it's pushed up since Trump became president. It's up 464%. It's like a lot of people are out there saying that it's going to go to $10. I think it could. I just don't know if it's now. That's the key. It's the thing. So obviously, when it comes to these, you got to be careful. Looking at the Bollinger Bands, it's going to be important. We'll see how tomorrow plays out. But Bitcoin being at 109, 110, that's kind of the most I expect it to go, just given off of charts and some TA and just like historical trend lines. It kind of tops at 110, unless obviously things are just broken and we're just going up forever, right? But XRP, this is one of the ugliest charts out there, just pushing straight up. So it's either going to break out a lot fucking higher or it's going to break down really quick. Wait for those Bollinger Bands to break out. But right now, looking at them, definitely closing in on the current price level. Outside of that, don't have anything else. Is there anything you want to cover real quick?
I will say, at some point we have to. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, but like, can we really use historical trend lines on something that is, over a decade? Like, not Bitcoin isn't that old,
Right.
and we're also in a very different situation than it's been in other cycles with the institutional adoption. So I would say my pushback on it topping at 109, 110 is that we're in uncharted territory. Now, maybe it does, like, would 150 shock me by mid-January? No, not at all. So I just think it's tough, man, and this is why trading this stuff on short time horizons is not for most people, myself included. So
Or
I'm
leverage.
or leverage. Jesus Christ, I'm just going to keep hodling the Bitcoin that I do have, and down the road, hope that it retires me. That's the goal.
This is what I'll say for 2025. Obviously, I've been saying stack cash, but looking at the bank term funding programs, I think if you are someone who's extremely young and you're working nonstop and you just kind of have cash and you're not buying every single dip, there might be an opportunity where it pulls back enough where it makes your cash go a lot further for Bitcoin. Obviously, alts, I do think if there is a major pullback, will bleed significantly. Just Bitcoin dominance pulling everything down. I think more of the problems are that it's a global problem, not necessarily just a market problem. But I completely agree. I think that at some point, historical trend lines will not matter. I just don't know if that time is now, given just some of the problems that we have in the banking system and liquidity and global liquidity. It's really going to come down to what happens in 2025 Q1, in my opinion. If that's the case, then maybe Bitcoin is the one that survives whatever comes. Maybe it is, right? Or maybe it's doomed because now TradFi is just as much in this game as retail. That's kind of the thing where I'm just like I'm fighting in my head what will happen to Bitcoin, what will happen to the crypto market if something bad were to happen. And obviously, if there is something bad to happen, money never sleeps, trades 24/7 crypto. So, it's something that we just kind of have to keep in mind. But like you said, 150,000, enough tether printed, enough institutional money thrown in there at the right time, low volume, totally possible. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, but it's very possible that we see that off low volume.
All right. I think that is going to wrap it up for today. Appreciate those of you who joined us. If you have not yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed our show. We'll be back later this week. We'll be back on Wednesday. We got to talk through the FOMC decision, Powell's final presser of the year. So it should be a good one on Wednesday. So stay tuned. Join us for that. Have a great week, everybody. Appreciate you as always. Stay safe in the markets, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Take care, everyone.